Hey everyone, today I'm going to introduce a good friend of mine, Daniel Kline, to be, kind of open. Actually, invest my first real estate investment was with Daniel and his partner. So, I know Daniel knows what he's talking about. He has 20 plus years, but Daniel, without me kind of telling everything of your story, could you kind of go from your beginnings to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So my dad was in corporate America back in the 80s, and he left corporate America at 40, and he came to Dallas, Texas from Atlanta, Georgia to start Subway shops. The same Subway shops that you probably eat at on a weekly basis, but this was way before they are what they are today. I think
Mm,
he might have been like maybe the 100th franchisee.
mm,
And so at 11 years old, I was, working behind the counter. Basically, my parents told me anything that you want, you've got to pay for. So we'll shelter you,
mm,
we'll feed you. But if you
mhm,
want like a new pair of sneakers, you want a new outfit, that's on you. And so
mm,
at 11 years old, I was behind the counter. I was making Subway sandwiches. I was ringing up, the customers, doing food prep, all those things. And so I was always, kind of the boss's kid, if you will, in the business. So I went to college for a little bit, didn't see the reason to go to college, being that I didn't want to be an employee. I mean, I was used to being the boss's son and kind of calling the shots, even though I was a young buck, 11, 12, 13, they
mhm,
still, respected me as, kind of, I guess, an extension of my father or, their employer and their boss. So
mhm,
I dropped out of college. I got married to my beautiful wife, Maria. We had two beautiful daughters, really, really quick. I got married in 1998. My daughter was born in 1998. And then my
mm,
second daughter, Salma, my first daughter is Nalani. My second daughter, Salma, was born in 1999. So needless to say, I was 22 years old at the time, Raju. So was
mm,
not prepared mentally, emotionally, for sure financially to start a family. But
mm,
God called me to marry my wife and to raise my kids, and so I took that command seriously. So I got into the staffing business. I am bilingual in Spanish, and so I actually went in there to get a job just because I wanted to see what it was like to work for someone other than my father
mm,
or my family. And they, I guess, liked me so much, for lack of a better word. They actually hired me for their office as opposed to hiring me out for
mm,
one of their clients.
mm,
And so began to run two of their largest operations. I think I had about 1,400 employees under me
mm,
at one point. And but I got fired. So
mm,
literally had three jobs my
mm,
entire life working for someone other than my family, and
mm.
they've all lasted 6 months apiece, and I've been fired from all of them. So I'm a terrible employee. I knew that I was cut out to be an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I'd never learned was sales. I'd
Mm,
been told that, hey, if you can learn sales, you can go anywhere. As a matter of fact, 80% of GDP, Raju, is sales. I don't know if you know that
mm,
statistic, but that's a huge statistic. And so I started to work at a carpet shop, and they spent quite a bit of money to teach me and train me how to sell. And I
mm,
became one of their top salesmen. I was projected to sell about $1 million worth of retail floors.
mm,
Well, excuse me, I knew there was a better way. It was absolutely miserable, working for someone else. I would go into the carpet shop at 11. I would manage their store until 6, and then after 6 o'clock, after hours, then I would take all of the samples and things over to people's houses that had visited the showroom that day, and I would do measurements and present a contract and sign contracts. Well, I went to a major. I was always interested in real estate because of my bilingual background. Where actually I learned Spanish from my wife. I wasn't bilingual initially. I learned Spanish at I think 21 when I met Maria.
ah,
Um, I went to a national guru boot camp, or it was a meeting, and I spent my tax return that year to get into the meeting. It was $2,500. And
mm,
Raju, let me tell you, when you're 20, probably what 24 years old, you
mhm,
got two kids, and you're not prepared. $2,500 is a mountain of money. And
mhm,
Maria told me, she said, this is the third year, or maybe it's the second year that you spent your tax return on, trying to get ahead. She said, you better make it work. And I was like, oh my gosh, no pressure, right? So I go to this boot camp, and it was nothing but really an upsell to, the next
mhm,
meeting, something higher. And so that was really disappointing. But there was one thing, Roger, that I got out of the meeting. There was just one sentence. The guy at the stage said, find a mentor, leverage your time with your mentor's expertise, and you'll accomplish your goals in 3 times the time and 3 times faster.
Mhm.
And so I began to tell everybody that I wanted to be a real estate investor.
Mhm.
And one of the people I happened to tell was a customer of mine. Her name was Lana Rice,
Mm.
and she was the regional vice president of Valpak Coupons. And there
Mm.
was a guy that was marketing in the Valpak Coupons. We buy houses, we take over payments.
Mhm.
And she said, "Hey, this guy that's a client of mine
Mhm.
told me that if I take him to lunch, he'll teach me everything that he knows about real estate." And I thought, well, man, give me his number.
Mhm.
And so, being 24 years old, not having a lot of life experience, it took me a whole week to call this guy. I mean, I was terrified to call him, but I finally worked up the nerve. He
Mhm.
tried to put me off, hey, no, I'm busy. I'm not taking on new students, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, do you eat? And he said, yeah. And I said, can I buy you lunch? Come on. So I was very insistent. And so I took him to lunch. After the second lunch, I bought like 7 houses.
Wow.
And then I had, and then I figured out that I had an eye problem. Do you know what an eye problem, Raju? You know what that
No.
is? Well, I had to go into my boss's office and tell him, hey, I have an eye problem. I can't see
Right.
myself working for you anymore. And so I tried to give him a 2 week notice, but he swiftly kicked me out of his office with a bunch of epithets and bad words. He was very upset. Well, I mean, he was seeing his $1 million guy go out the door,
Right.
to do my own thing. And so built one of the largest single family creative finance real estate companies in Dallas and Fort Worth. We were doing 250, upwards of 250 properties a year.
Mm.
And in 2014, I sold one of those companies and actually retired for about almost 10 years. When I say retired, I don't mean like I was just, well, I did sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais, but I was still buying houses, but just not building a business. And
Right.
so what happened recently is those children that I had back in 98, 99, and then I had a son and Daniel Jr. in 2005. Well, they grew up when they
Mm.
graduated high school and they looked at my life and my lifestyle and, the lifestyle that they had participated in as youngsters. And they said, Dad, we don't see any reason to go to college because all college teaches you to do is how to be an employee. And
Mhm.
we don't want to be an employee. We want your lifestyle. We'd like to build our own portfolio. And so, and we'd like for you to mentor us. I mean, you talking about, you know, how do you say no to them first of all, right? I mean, your
Right.
kids ask you to mentor them and, they're kind of placing their future in your hands. And then secondly, I'm a poster child of a child dropout,
Mm.
that's had, massive success in business. So I took that personal, I took that on. And so I started to create videos for them. I'm a big legacy guy, Raju. I believe that one of the most lasting, loving things that you can do for your family is to have your affairs in order if you're to pass away.
Mhm.
Have your will, have your, financials readily available, have powers of attorneys in place, things like that. And so I started to document, what I do for my kids, just in case, in the middle, something were to happen to me, they could go back and look at my videos and know exactly, hey, how did dad create his wealth? How did dad create his lifestyle, etc.
Mhm.
And so as I was documenting these strategies that I practice in real estate, I thought, there's just tons of families out there that would, that this information can be life changing for. And so I was burdened to not only teach my kids and document the process for my kids, but also for other families that know that there's a better way, want to spend more time with their family, stop trading time for money. Employees trade time for money, and we only have 24 hours in a day. And so, you're capped. You're capped at how much you can earn unless you create what's called leverage.
Mhm.
And so I created Sub2 Freedom to empower families to stop trading time for money, to be able to create a legacy for their families and for their children, to be able to create generational wealth that they can pass down from generation to generation. And so that's what I'm here doing today is I'm teaching, coaching, training other entrepreneur minded people how to buy single family homes in multiple different ways. I have multiple strategies. I've been doing real estate, investing in real estate for I think it's about 22, 23 years now.
Mhm.
And so I've kind of done all of the strategies out there and I understand them. And so yeah, so I think that's my life purpose. I had a great time being retired, Raju. I mean, it's everything it's cut out to be. But after a certain period of time, there's only so many trips you can take. There's only so many cars you can buy, so many boats you can buy, toys and that kind of thing. And then you kind of start to lose purpose.
Mhm.
They also say that the devil or idle time is the devil's workshop.
So yeah.
And so I found myself not being productive. And so I said, you know what, I really need I need a purpose in life. And so, fortunately for my kids, my kids gave me that purpose because they wanted me to mentor them. And so
Mhm.
there's a real godsend that they wanted to be mentored by me and kind of got me out of, being stagnant in life and not living up to my potential and then start to pass on, the legacy that I've created for my family to other families. And so
Awesome.
that kind of brings us up to current of where I am today and kind of what I'm doing and what I'm up to.
Mhm.
And yeah, having life, having a great time in life. I mean, I enjoy life. Life is fun. Life is exciting.
Mhm.
Um, I've created a lot of passive income. So I have a lot of money that comes in every single month without me having to actually be here. One of the most exciting things about vacation, Raju, was going on vacation and then
Mhm.
coming back and having more money in my bank account when I got
Right.
back than when I
Right.
left.
Right.
And so that's a great lifestyle, and I want to help to replicate that in as many families as I possibly can.
Awesome. Well, to be, full disclosure, actually, I'm considering, taking coaching with Daniel, which we're going to talk about later, but that's one thing. Plus, like I mentioned, I invested with Daniel and his partner, so I made money, pretty good with the owner finance deal. So they're, like Daniel is pretty much an expert. Sub two was something I've been looking at it for a year. That's what I talked to Daniel about when I saw his postings. I'm like, hey, doing sub two. I've been looking at it, and I might want to, get talk to you, mentorship from you. So anyway, I personally, that's I would recommend anybody looking at investing go talk to Daniel and see if it's a good fit. Daniel, one of the things I'll tell about him is he'll give it to you like it is. He's not going to sugarcoat it or anything like that. So he's going to give it to you like it is. So with that being said, I'll be posting whatever Daniel has so that you guys can go check it out, his info and everything. You can even Google his name or something, and you'll see that he's been at least in Dallas Fort Worth, is kind of known in the circles, real estate circles. Well, with that being said, let's going back to I had a question about your childhood. Seems like essentially entrepreneurship or I guess dependency was enforced by your parents. And did you pass that on to your kids too?
You would have to ask me that question. So have you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by
Which
Robert Kiyosaki?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Multiple times.
So I hope my dad doesn't see this, but my dad is actually my poor dad.
Oh.
So he did instill some entrepreneurial spirit and thinking in my mind, or in my life, in my spirit, but he wasn't a good business person. He didn't know how to delegate. He wasn't a good money manager. And he didn't create any type of leverage. He was of the mind that if you want it done right, do it yourself. And
Mm,
so I've actually met other gentlemen in my life that are my rich dads that have helped me create leverage.
mm,
As far as my kids, I think as a parent, we all want our kids to have a better life than the life that we had.
mhm,
And I do appreciate my parents, really, I guess sticking it to me, if you will, to be self-sufficient
mhm,
in the things that I want, I had to provide. Probably have not done as good of a job, Raju, as I could have done that way with my kids, just because I mean, I don't come from a silver spoon. As a
mhm,
matter of fact, when my dad was in corporate America, we would eat spaghetti and macaroni and cheese and
mm,
fried chicken and all the good food at the beginning of the month.
mhm,
But he got paid monthly, and so at
mhm.
the end of the month, we were literally eating rice and beans.
Oh,
And so I don't come from a silver spoon. All of my wealth is self-created through, you know, mentors and really just blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, 15, 16-hour days and just the tenacity to not give up. And so, with my kids, I guess when my kids were growing up, I was still a kid. I mean, I was 22 when I had my first daughter, Nalani, and then I was 24 when I had my first daughter, Salma.
mhm,
So I was experiencing money for the first time.
mm,
And it really didn't happen then, to be honest with you. I mean, probably the first 10 years were just, you know, I guess, hell on wheels. That's probably not the most politically correct way to put it, but it was very difficult. The first 10 years were very difficult. And anybody that's ever built a business understands that there's not a profit typically, at least for the first 3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
And so, when they were probably in, I would say, junior high and definitely high school, that's when I really started to see the fruits of all of my hard labor. And
Mhm.
so I wasn't hard on them like my parents were, because I was experiencing, wealth, passive income, expendable money for the first time in my life. And so, who better to share it with than, your family, your kids, your wife.
Mhm.
And so, they're not silver spoon kids either, though, by any stretch of the means. They're very well grounded.
Mhm.
I know that they're proud of what I've built, and they're proud to be a part of it. But I definitely was not as hard on them as my parents were. But they also have not been given anything either.
Mhm.
Some of my kids have, 2 out of the 3 have already bought houses, have investments in real estate, and working on the third. And they work for it. I mean, it wasn't handed to them on a silver platter. I mean, they work for it. One of them put up their credit for one. Another one, the youngest one, Daniel Jr., he ran appointment. He runs appointments with me. He's making cold calls. He's got his own wholesale business now that he's running with a partner of his. Who's also he's 19 right now. His business partner's 19, and so
Mhm.
they're starting up a wholesale company as we speak. And so, there's nothing handed to them. So I'm a big proponent of, I went and saw the founder of Hobby Lobby. He's
Mhm.
a strong Christian man, and he said something in a conference at a church one time that that he's not going to. He put all of his properties, he put all of his business into a trust,
Mhm.
and then he dictates how the trust disperses money. And so
Mhm.
he's not just going to hand his business down to his kids, and let them do what they want with it. Well, I'm the
Mhm.
same way. I'm not just going to hand a bunch of properties and,
Mhm.
a bunch of wealth and cash and whatever else to my kids.
Mhm.
It's going to be very, what's the word? Controlled. And
Mhm.
whatever lifestyle that they want, they're going to have to create that.
Mhm.
But the good news for them is they don't have to create that on their own,
Right.
because I've got a lot of experience from building, business from the multiple businesses. I think I own about 9 or 10 businesses at this moment,
Mhm.
and all of them I built from the ground up.
Mhm.
And so nothing's going to be handed to them. Nothing's going to be, given to them on a silver platter or a silver spoon. If they want something, they got to go work hard for it. Will dad help them? Heck yeah, I go hard for my family.
Mhm.
They're gonna have to earn it, and they're gonna have to work hard for it. Nothing's gonna be given to them.
Awesome. Well, then going back to, so by the way, I know his second child, daughter. She was in a business where that's how Daniel and I knew each other, and she kind of did pretty well there. She kind of went and did it well. So I kind of know the work ethic and how they do
Yeah,
it.
she
So
blew it up.
yeah, she blew it up. So going
Yeah.
back to what was the, because you said your dad, kind of didn't teach you, but what was that shift that happened for you that you decided I'm an entrepreneur always, so that's what I'm going to be? What was that moment or thing that happened that kind of, shifted you?
Well, so I don't remember who it was. I was watching it on Facebook, and this was really recent. This is actually about a week or two ago.
Mhm.
And she said, I can always tell an entrepreneur, from a young age, I can always tell who's going to be an entrepreneur. And the way that I can tell who's going to be an entrepreneur is because entrepreneurs just have a distaste for authority.
Mhm.
And I have that. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be told, when I can take a bathroom break. I don't like to be told when I can go on vacation. I don't like to be told, when I can go for lunch. I want to call my own shots. And so I've always had uh, I guess a disdain for authority. And
Mhm.
so I think from a young age, I knew that, that I would be, calling my own shots and not, well, and then, furthermore, I've had 3 jobs in my life, and those 3 jobs I got fired from. And the reason I got fired from them was, well, because I didn't want to be told what to do, and because I told the boss how they could make their business better. And no entrepreneur, wants to hear that from, an employee, especially a one that's much younger than them with
Mhm.
less experience or perceived, less experience. And so, I can't say that my dad didn't teach me anything. I mean, he definitely gave me the entrepreneurial bug. He showed courage in leaving corporate America at 40. I mean, that's a pretty, that's a somewhat
Mhm.
older age bracket to leave corporate, the comfort and the security of corporate America and go out on your own.
Mhm.
So I can't say that he didn't teach me anything. He
Mhm.
just had some faults that created, or he just didn't have anybody to mentor him. We didn't
Mhm.
have the internet back then, so the information was, limited. I actually remember encyclopedias. Um,
Right. Me
and
too.
and so yeah, and so he just didn't have that mentorship and people that he could reach out to for help.
Mhm.
But he definitely gave me the entrepreneurial bug, and he showed me courage in leaving corporate America.
Mhm.
But I just don't like authority, Raju. I want to call my own shots.
Right.
Listen, if I fail, I want it to be because of me, not
Mhm.
because, of anything other than, I failed. But I don't want to go out and build someone else's dream,
Mhm.
and they make poor decisions and then that dream collapses. I'd
Mhm.
rather go out and build my dream. And then if, if God forbid that dream collapses, well, that's on me.
Right.
And so I like to be in control of my destiny, my future, yeah, I mean, why go build someone else's dream when you can build your own?
Awesome. Well, talking about dreams, so now your mission is to help people realize their dreams.
Yep.
So I know you have three phases of the coaching you're doing. Sub two is the primary one, but you got other avenues too. Could you kind of share with people like, hey, when they get into your coaching program, what do they get?
So, well, just to preface, I just launched the coaching program literally a month ago. So, I mean,
Right.
this is a brand new product. I'm
Mm.
at the very front end of, I'm actually just in a beta launch right now. So, I mean, I haven't even fully really launched
Mm.
all of the capabilities and all of the back end
Mm.
power that the program has. But
Mm.
I've got three modules. The first is wholesaling. So I teach people how to wholesale houses. And
Mm.
basically, the purpose of wholesaling is just to create cash so that you can go buy assets that create passive income that comes in month after month without you having to be there.
Mhm.
The second one is subject to, and subject to is buying properties subject to the existing lien.
Mhm.
So we make the seller the bank. We pony or we tag on their financing and well they leave their financing in place on the property and then we service their debt. We have titles to the property and we either rent the property out or sell it with an owner on an owner finance note.
Mhm.
The third one is acquiring properties with seller finance. So like a free and clear property, we would structure a transaction with a seller where they finance us. And then again, our disposition would be we either rent the property or owner finance it. I've done fix and flips. I've done the Burr method. I've done pretty much any type of real estate. I've even done short sales and any type of strategy that you can think of around single family homes. I've done them. My future plan is to have more than just the three modules.
Mhm.
I launched with the three just
Mhm.
because those are a really good solid foundation to help someone that has no real estate experience and or maybe just has one tool in their toolbox to expand the tools in their toolbox to do more deals.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so that's why I started with those three modules, but I'll be adding more. And then along with the coaching program, it's really, I guess, kind of annoying to me, for someone to market a program that
Mhm.
has videos, but then there's no like interaction, there's no coaching. So I'm
Right.
offering 90 days group coaching because there's going to be gaps. I mean, I think you'd agree, Raju, that you can watch videos all day long, and that's good information.
Mhm.
But it's not applied. It's good knowledge, but it's not applied knowledge.
Right.
And so, you watch these videos. There's going to be gaps in the information. I mean, how can I possibly tell you everything
Mhm.
that you need to know, especially since real estate is so scenario based?
Mhm.
Each seller that you talk to has different needs and different things going on in their lives. And so I want to make sure that those gaps are filled and
Mhm.
that not only are you getting the information and the knowledge from the videos, but then you're also filling in those gaps based on the specific,
Mhm.
scenarios that you're seeing out in the marketplace. And so I want to be able to, have that interaction with the students so that I can coach them through, not only the knowledge that's in the program, but also the applied knowledge of, scenario based, transactions that they run into. So there's the coaching. And then after the 90 days, and there's a subscription that you can apply for so you can continue that coaching. And I don't just cut people off at 90 days. But that 90 days, comes with buying the system.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Now I was about to ask that question, but cool. You answered that. So let's get more, so again, as I mentioned, I'll be sharing Daniel's website, social media, whatever I have, but I'll also, Daniel probably by the end of this video, he'll share that information too, so you can note it down. So reach out to him, check it out. If you're looking at real estate investing, especially if you're kind of new, I mean, even experience, like I've done Airbnb and all that stuff. Even then, you need a mentor, someone who has done like 20 plus years. So Daniel has gone through the cycles. Very few real estate investors gone through the cycles. Most of them 5, 6 years, whatever. So if you're going to get a coaching, you want to get somebody from a long history who has seen everything almost. So anyway, with that being said, moving on to my last 3 questions, Daniel, what's the book you read that has helped you most that you would like to share with the people?
Perfect. Yeah, it's Jim Livingston, Good to Great, Built to Last. Those are 2 books. I think when you're building a business, if you have and gosh, you could go back to Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, I've already mentioned that book.
Right.
There's a whole lot of them out there. I think when I was building a business, though, Jim Livingston really touched me with his Good to Great, and then the other book, Built to Last. If you're going to hire employees, you're going to put like a virtual assistant in your business. You're going to put a bookkeeper in your business, CPA, closing attorneys, title offices. You need to have the right people on the bus. And it's not only, having the right people on the bus, but having them in the right seat. And so that was tough for me. It's hard. I've got a big heart. I'm very empathetic. I've at one point, Maria and I didn't have a home to go to. I wasn't homeless. I mean, I had a shelter over my head, but we didn't have a place where we could go together. So, when you're an employer, it's like, your employees' livelihood, like whether their children eat or not, don't eat, whether they can pay the rent or don't pay rent. I mean, that's in your hand, and you have a say in whether they continue to work for you and be employed and receive income or not. And so sometimes it's difficult to, let people go and to make those moves in your business. But I learned through reading those books that it's important to have, when you're interviewing up front, to make sure that you're, getting the right people, on board, but then also putting them in the right position once they're on board. And then to be able to make those, those quick changes, those quick moves, when you see someone, failing or not succeeding to the capacity that they can, to evaluate that and then see if, A, are they a right fit? Maybe you're wrong. Maybe they're not a right fit. Or B, do you have a fit in your company where, you can just move them and that would better suit their, their abilities and their capabilities. And so, and then Rich Dad Poor Dad, I love that book. Just, I've lived that, like I said, my dad inspired me through his courage for, leaving corporate America, but I saw the mistakes that he made. I saw how he leveraged financing improperly. He didn't let employees go quick enough. He worked, gosh, the man worked 10 years without taking a vacation because he was just of the mind of, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. And then to then go find, other mentors that taught me, leverage, the power of good debt, how to create passive income, how to not trade time for money. Those types of things have just been, life changing. I mean, you've seen my lifestyle, Raju. I mean, it's a lifestyle that when I got married at 22, it's a lifestyle that I could only have dreamt of. And sometimes I pinch myself. I mean, literally today I got up at 10. I mean, it's a Wednesday. I got because I went to the gym yesterday and I did legs well, quite frankly, it just wore me out. So I told Daniel Jr., I said, we're not going to the gym today. And I've got to rest my body. And so, but see, I can do that. Most people, I would say 99% of Americans, they can't do that. I don't do that often, but sometimes, if I'm physically not 100%, then it affects my psyche. And
Right.
I recognize that about myself. I know myself pretty well.
Mhm.
And so that I know that I'm not going to be, even if I, try to get up, say at, 7 o'clock and work, those 3 hours that I was in bed this morning, I know that I'm not going to be productive because my mindset is not where it needs to be. And so I'd rather, sharpen my axe,
Mhm.
and be super productive for shorter hours during the day than to try to, do the grind, you
Mhm.
know, and then not be productive because my mindset is improper because my body's not rested.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Gotcha. Well, this question, I think I already know the answer, but I'll ask anyway because it's always like to ask that question. What inspires you to get up and do what you do every day? Although you did get up at 10 a.m. today, it's still you got up.
Yes. Yeah. What inspires me to get up every day? Well, I'd have to say my family. We have discussed that a little bit. I go hard for my family. Maria is Mexican and I'm Caucasian. I'm white.
Mhm.
And, there's something to be said about the Mexican community in that they're super family oriented. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that I as a white man have adopted from the Mexican culture that I
Mhm.
hold very near and dear to my heart. And one
Mhm.
of those is family over everything.
Right.
And so I go hard for my kids. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to be proud of what I've built, and then I also want to be proud of what I'm currently building. And
Mhm.
when I say my kids, I'm including Maria, my wife, in there, of course.
Mhm.
So, and then the other thing is reaching my potential.
Mhm.
I think God put us on this earth for a reason. We have a purpose. Psalms 139 says that He knows every day of our life. It's already written in His book, and
Mhm.
so He's got a purpose for me.
Mhm.
And so it's my obligation to ask Him what is that purpose and to seek that out. And so I want to be obedient to God and the purpose that He's called me to.
Mhm.
And I know it's not sipping Mai Tais on the beach for 10 years. Um, that was fun, but that's not the ultimate purpose. I did get a sabbatical there, just riding off the success that I had as a young man that worked incredibly hard. It's kind of like that saying, do what others aren't willing to do so that you can do later what others can't do.
Can do.
So, I rode that wave, but ultimately I have a purpose on this earth, and out of obedience to God, to Jesus, it's my obligation to be obedient to Him and to accomplish or work that purpose. And so now my purpose is to, you know, spread the lifestyle that I've created for my family to other families.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, Raju, and on a lighter note, I need people to go on vacation with.
All right.
You know,
More
like
people.
when
Yeah.
you have residual income and like your friends or employees, it's like, hey, let's go over here. Like a spontaneous, hey, let's go to the Super Bowl, or hey, let's go to Mardi Gras, or hey, let's go to something cool. And they're like, well, I don't have any more PT. I don't have any more
Right.
paid time off, or my boss won't let me or whatever. So I need some people to go on vacation with.
There you go. Awesome. Well, last but not the least, one tip. I know you probably have a lot of tips, but you got to share only one tip that has helped you that can help others.
And, well, as you can tell, I could talk for days. My kid, my kids always, my kids always tell me, Dad, you talk so much. We were leaving a real estate meeting the other night, and we almost got to the car, and there was a lady standing there, and I got into like a 20-minute conversation with her. My son was just sitting in the car shaking his head, going, "Man, what is wrong with you?" So one tip, someone getting started will it'd probably be take action. I think a lot of people dream and they want a life that they know that they can live, but it's always about human nature is procrastination. I mean, we procrastinate just as human beings. It's nature, and it's the people that really take action and don't procrastinate, counterintuitive to our human nature. Those are the folks that are just super successful.
Mhm.
And so, there's I can kind of give you a visual of it. It's like, and we learned this from our good friend Monica.
Mhm.
Get out of the bleachers, stop watching the game, and get on the court.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And until you get on the court, you're just watching the game. And
Right.
here's the thing, we only got 4 quarters in life, just
Yep.
like the game. And you might be in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, it's depending on your age. And how
Mhm.
many days, that are written in God's book, like Psalms 139 says.
Mhm.
And so, if you're just in the stands watching the game, for an extended period of time, man, the buzzer might go off and the game might be over.
Mhm.
And so I would just highly encourage people to get out of the stands, get on the court and play some ball, take action.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you also went to
And
Landmark, I believe. So go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
a
Go ahead.
Landmark graduate. I went to all
Yes.
three of 'em. And if I could give you one other,
Uh-huh.
the second one, and you can
Mhm.
edit this if you want, but find a mentor. You
Mhm.
know, my dad had courage to go and become an entrepreneur, but he didn't have a mentor, and that incredibly stifled and it eventually snuffed out his entrepreneurial dream. He ended up going back to being an employee, Raju. I mean,
Mm.
that is incredibly
Mm.
disappointing. It's what he needed to do for his life. But, without a mentor, without the proper people around you to lead you, to guide you, to provide you with resources, experience, teach you how to leverage, financing, your money, your time, those types of things. I think you might get to where your goals are, you might get to where you want to be, but it's going to be a long haul.
Oh,
It's
it's
going to
gotta
take a
come.
long time. And so
Mm.
if you really want to, cut down the time curve, to reach your goals and to, create the life that you've always dreamt of, go find a mentor.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I strongly believe in that. Well, with that being said, can you go ahead and share your website, social media a little bit? Again, I'll be posting that too, but just in case you don't like to, go to the notes and click it, Daniel is
Yeah.
going to share his info.
Yeah, sure. Well, sub2freedom.com is my website for the coaching, the training for real estate investing. I'll be honest with you, I don't know my Facebook. I mean, I'm under Daniel Kline. I also have a Sub2 Freedom page. My shop, as far as when I buy houses, it's under the name of Liberty House Buyers. Liberty being I have liberty to time freedom, etc. But libertyhousebuyers.com is the website there. And you can hit me up on any of those sites, send me a contact us. And after my beta launch, you go to those sites, you hit us, you hit the contact us, it'll do a whole bunch of texting and chatbot AIs and or AI chatbots. I mean, it's going to be a super, super powerful system where you can actually not only have a system to learn how to invest in real estate, but it'll actually operate your entire company. And so
Mm.
that's after I get out of the beta launch and all
Mm.
of that's developed, because it's one thing to learn how to do real estate, but if you don't have a CRM,
Mm.
you don't have a method of communicating effectively with your clients, then, again, your growth is stifled. So what I've put together is an all-encompassing system to
Mm.
not only learn how to invest in real estate, but also how to operate a business and a platform to do that from.
Mm.
So check me out on Sub2 Freedom. Look me up on social media. I'm under Daniel Kline. I
Mhm.
think I'm on Creative Finance Dan, maybe on TikTok. I apologize. I
That's okay. I'll be sharing all that
don't know my
info.
monikers very well.
Yeah, no, I
I
mean,
just all the time, and I don't pay attention to.
yeah, I mean, hopefully, they'll go to the, my notes
But
and check it out,
sure.
wherever I'm posting all the clips and the podcast and everything. All right. Once again, thank you, Daniel, for taking the time. And like I said, reach out to Daniel based on either the notes or what Daniel just shared.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate you having me on. It was an honor and a pleasure to spend a couple minutes with you today and be able to share with your audience about myself and how they might be able to improve their life through real estate investing.